AI is moving fast. So fast, it's hard to keep up. In fact, in ServiceNow's latest AI Maturity Index, scores dipped 20% from last year. But that's okay, because AI isn't a sprint, it's a marathon. You may be behind today, but tomorrow you could be a pace setter. Dive into ServiceNow's AI Maturity Index and see how you can innovate as fast as your ambitions. Visit servicenow.com/AI maturity.
Mic check. 1, 2. Are we recording? Hi, I'm Michelle Bernstein, an award-winning chef, restaurateur, and mom. I have a lot on my plate, including my psoriatic arthritis symptoms. That's why I was prescribed Cosentyx. It helps me move better.
Cosentyx secukinumab is prescribed for people 2 years of age and older with active psoriatic arthritis. Don't use if you're allergic to Cosentyx. Before starting, get checked for tuberculosis. An increased risk of infections and lowered ability to fight them may occur, like tuberculosis or other serious bacterial, fungal, or viral infections. Some were fatal. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms like fevers, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, had a vaccine or plan to, or if inflammatory bowel disease symptoms develop or worsen. Serious allergic reactions and severe eczema-like skin reactions may occur. Learn more at 1-844-COSENTYX or Cosentyx.com.
Ask your rheumatologist about Cosentyx.
Thanks for selling your car to Carvana. Here's your check.
Whoa, when did I get here?
What do you mean?
I swear it was just moments ago that I accepted a great offer from Carvana online. I must have time traveled to the future.
It was just moments ago. We do same-day pickup. Here's your check for that great offer.
It is the future.
It's the present and just the convenience of Carvana. Sorry to blow your mind.
It's all good. Happens all the time.
Sell your car the convenient way to
Carvana.
Pickup times may vary and fees may apply.
It's really cool.
Bonjour, hello, and welcome to the Rosbif Rugby podcast, your one-stop shop for all things French rugby. Top 14 Pro D2 National Champions and Challenge Cups, Les Bleus, and of course, most importantly, the brilliant town, cities, bars, restaurants, fans, stadia, everything that makes the French rugby experience so magnificent. Rob, we are a little bit later in the week than usual due to a few life bits getting in the way, but such things. How are you doing?
Yeah. Reeling after my first defeat for Wellington Wanderers in this season last night. That was
really,
yeah.
Wow.
So I'm still undefeated in the league games, but Richard and I played a cup game last night, Tuesday evening, which is why we're slightly later because I don't think either of us got home before 10:30, basically. So yeah, and yes, you think that is quite late to play cricket. Well, it turned out that it was too dark to play cricket. Isn't that right for all those East Molesey people? All those mega fans in East Molesey that cheated us out of a finish.
No, I don't know about that. It was bloody dark though. I was just thinking this. I don't think I've ever in my whatever it is 23 years playing cricket. I don't think I've ever played in a game that's been called off for bad light, which probably speaks to the terrible standard I've played during most of my time. But it was a little bit galling. When I think, as you said, you can see the scoreboard lights reflecting off the floor like a floodlight. It was a little bit dark to play, unfortunately, but yeah, we still lost. Not much else to add to that. Don't really want to talk about myself banging one straight down deep backward square leg's throat for the 700th time in my cricket career. Never learn, Rob. Yeah. Never learn.
Me getting injured. We could talk about hire cars again, but because I had a bit of a mare on Friday, but I feel like we've done cricket. We can't do hire cars again.
Nah, let's move on.
Let's move on.
There's
plenty happening.
There is a lot happening, and there's a lot to come as well. It feels like there's things people are getting back into pre-season, fixtures are being announced. It is all go. But on the pitch, second test match down in Wellington, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
We thought there might be a bit of a sting in the tail from New Zealand / they maybe couldn't be quite as wasteful as the week before. And that is how it panned out. It was 42-17. And to say they were at arm's length, the French, well, what was quite a youthful or at least inexperienced French team, to say they were at arm's length would probably not quite do it justice. Maybe an arm and a half's length for the whole one of this. Where should we start? Do we want to go?
Just that we called it, mate. Yeah, we called it. We said it was going to happen.
Yeah, it was a tough one, this as well. Proper Nostradamus, Mystic Meg stuff.
Yeah.
The whole tour...
Let's start at the beginning. Start at the beginning. Team selection.
Yeah, the whole tour...
10 changes.
Has been the word I'm looking for, like against the backdrop of selection, essentially, hasn't it? So let's go there. We said, well, we're not sure how many changes. We weren't entirely sure whether the Bordeaux Toulouse 5 were eligible until the last game. Turned out they very much were, and were all brought in, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
All of them, I think all of them got in. Yeah. Bern Taifer was on the bench as well.
Yeah. Brennan.
So, Brennan, Deputaire, Bern Taifer, Bocheton. Who am I missing? Barassi started at 12.
Brand new centre combo.
The French starting 15 had, I believe, 50 caps.
It had, I think, didn't Roman Talfafenua and Cameron Woki on the bench had more caps than the starting 15 or something like that?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if Roman Talfafenua has more than that generally. It might have even been that. But do you think that's an issue?
I don't think
in and of itself, it's not an issue.
No.
Like, teams go through cycles of change. You can have different sides that are inexperienced. You know, it doesn't always mean everything that a team has very few caps, etc. But I think in the context of the narrative, it helps the people that want to create an agenda on a certain theme, I guess.
Yeah, I think it does. I would say I was, as much as the backline in particular did look pretty tasty, at least for us, kind of, Barassi's had a great season. We know how good Deportaire can be. Barre maybe offers that slight more kind of out and out fullbackness whilst maintaining like the brilliance of Atasogbe on the wing, and then you've got Legarec and Segons. Like, it's a proper backline, and there's some heft in the pack. Yeah. My issue with this, and I think this is fair, is I don't think looking at that. I think you can, regardless of how you felt at the start of the tour around like the volume of guys missing out, and go into last week, push New Zealand close, like keep it tight, do a sort of fantastic job above and beyond expectations. The series is still on the line. And there is, let's say there's when like in COVID, when like the England cricket team, one person tested positive and they had to draft in an entire new like 15-man squad. So in that sort of situation, if that was a Six Nations game and this was the squad they had to pick from more broadly, and there's something on the line, a series on the line, that is not the 15 Galthie picks. I just think it makes it look, and he can do what he wants, he's the coach, but I also don't think you can be immune from criticism when you push a side so close and then you rest the two outstanding forwards from the week before in Guillard and Fisher, and you rest the two most experienced backs, and you put a side out with that few combinations. We know he's looking to build.
I think also with Fiku, like, to rest... Well, maybe he's not first choice anymore. That's the thing. But he is so comfortably the most experienced player on that tour and the most obvious leader because of that international experience. I think that to drop him from the 23 isn't a great look. Although it's 6'2", so he's kind of hands behind his back on that one, I guess. Yeah,
and look, it's not saying it's a poor side, and it's not, we knew a lot of this tour was going to be about building depth, but I think it's a bit naive to suggest that approach for this test match should be immune from critique, because I think the series is on the line. There was talk beforehand as well. They felt they might go into this next game, which I think is at Hamilton, right, with what you'd argue might be the strongest squad, probably bringing back in Fiku, Villiers, Oradu, Fisher, those guys. And to me, you do that while the series is still alive. I think as a sports fan, more broadly, like, the approach should be about winning the next game. And I was a bit disappointed by the selection, as much as particularly in that back line. Actually, a few of them played okay, but were overwhelmed. So that's my slight, a little bit of a Wednesday morning rant from me, Rob.
I think your WhatsApp message last week was, I might be slightly, I think it was pretty much what you said verbatim, but it was like that amount of rotation is fundamentally unserious, which I think summed it up pretty well. Like it does. I think we were quick to defend the players and the selection and the situation because of the top 14 in the previous week, and it makes it very hard to defend it when you see that. It does make it slightly unserious and does make a little bit of a mockery of the tour, and it's disrespectful. It's disrespectful to New Zealand. It's disrespectful to World Rugby. The knives were out, weren't they, at half time? Jeff Wilson was getting properly stuck in. He was ready to go. But I do kind of agree with that. Like it just doesn't sit right. Doesn't sit right. You could argue what's more disrespectful, that team selection or not bothering to get any of the names right on commentary. But there we go.
There was one really good one.
I've got it written down. It was on, I can tell you the minute as well if anyone wants to go back and check it. On 42 minutes, Reggie Montagnier came on for Coulomb.
Brilliant.
That was a good one.
Also
at half time, I think Kieran Reid said about the Bowden Barrett slapdown, Gallier. We saw Gallier get one last week, which was a portmanteau of Gabin Villiers.
I like it. There was another one which was excellent. I think it was Bosheton. It was like Boucheton or something.
Yeah.
You know they're good ones when it's harder to come up with the new mispronunciation than it is just to say it slightly incorrectly.
Deportery, but I guess Deportery was one that got me as well. And also Joris Sagons basically played the whole game according to commentary. Don't know who they thought were. I think Barry got called Sagons. I think Gaeton got called Sagons. I think Astoy got called Sagons. Maybe because that's the one they've got nailed down.
Although in fairness, I think in the first half there was a break on the wing, and I'm going to write, talking of mispronunciations, Tavanawai, who I think was on debut.
Yeah,
it was here he is cutting free. And I went, oh no, it's Ardi Surveyor.
I enjoyed that.
One of whom has 22.
That guy Tavanawai for Highlanders has basically been a bit of a one-man team. Although, coming onto the game, talking of Highlanders players, I thought Fabian Holland was unbelievable. Outstanding. Looking like Brody Retallick.
Yeah, he was a joke. Him and Tui Pilotta as well in the second row were incredible. And obviously that it was the sort of doing the rounds, wasn't it? That try. I think just before
Tupou Vai finished it off. Yeah.
It was absolutely stunning. But yeah,
Tupou Vai, who has seemed to, from what I can tell, has played France 3 times now and has been unreal in all 3 of them. Obviously the one we were at, but also these 2. I think he's just been quite like him as a 6, but I generally don't like that sort of player as a 6, but he's quite good at it.
They were pretty outstanding, I thought, New Zealand, actually. I don't think that's not the most incisive analysis you'll ever see, but particularly in that first half, it was deeply impressive. Some of their power and their attacking shapes were brilliant.
I just hope that from a neutral perspective, I hope they can stop messing around and just go, look, Roygaard's clearly the best. Bowden Barrett is your best fly half. Certainly Mwangwa's not that. Just stop dicking around with Mackenzie at 10, like Geordie Barrett at 12, get Will Jordan on the pitch.
Keep it simple.
Yeah. I still don't think the back row, I'm not convinced about the new lads in the back row, Leo Willie and Karifi, but there we go.
Duplessis Karifi, which is an absolutely incredible rugby hybrid name. That is absolutely stunning. France, anyone, it's a bit of a shellacking, but did anyone kind of emerge from this? Bit credit in the bank for you?
So last week we talked about like the rate, like 5-star players, 4-star players. I don't think anyone was either of those. And I've picked out a handful of 3-star players who basically were like slightly above average. Although I think the player that came out with the net gain, the biggest net gain was the previously mentioned Reggie Montagnier, Regis Montagnier, who struggled at scrum time the previous week from memory, but was actually pretty good this week and was pretty good round the park. What did you call him? The Hall of Mirrors, George Martin.
Yeah.
I said he looked like George Martin. Yeah. Talking about Hall of Mirrors, I went to the Grey Cricketer live on Sunday night, and that was like walking into a Hall of Mirrors. It might as well have been, I don't think I've ever been anywhere where everyone has dressed so similarly and looked so similar to me. Anyway, but yeah, I thought Regis Montagnier was decent. Do you want to hear my 3-star players?
I do, yeah.
Okay, from 1 to 15, Pierre Bocheton, Nicolas Deporter, Leo Barre, Pierre Bourgaret, Regis Montagnier, Cameron Woki, Antoine Astoy.
Fair.
Woki, who's injured for the next game, and as is Regis Montagnier. So they are both out of that next test, which is a shame. But, we'll come on to next week. That there are rumours. There's the classic bib theory from James Harrington, which always seems to be pretty spot on. Do you agree with any of those, disagree with any of those? Throw a few more names.
No, I don't disagree. I thought in spite of his yellow card, I thought Josh Brennan on debut was pretty good, but I am a massive Josh Brennan fan. I thought
him and Halangahu were okay.
Got themselves about.
It feels harsh to obviously anything less than 3 stars would be 2 stars, but they were fine. I think a lot of the France players were fine. Like the back line generally was fine, but the guys that were
injecting much.
Yeah, the guys that actually had something positive on the game, I've given those little 3-star ratings to. I think it has to. The attack just looked a bit better when he came on. He added a bit of his own pace. Like he does have some pace himself, which Segons doesn't really.
Yeah.
He was really like the way him and Brassi's possibly a 3-star as well. I thought he tackled big in the first half. Brassi hit hard, but also I think the way him and Hastoy linked for the try from Barre was decent. Barre's a weird one. Like he got charged down, which would have been properly village early on, and he's not flawless. I don't think he'll ever be flawless because he's just that type of risky. He's always still quite raw. He may be when he's like Brice Doulan's age, he'll be absolutely flawless. But maybe he's like the next Brice Doulan, basically, but taller.
You reckon?
Always looked classy, massive boot, could grab the game by a scruff of the neck, could do something completely loose at the worst time to do it. But generally, he does look quite classy. Like he looks like he fits at that level. He didn't look particularly in sync with the others, apart from that try. But he's a good player, isn't he? I think he's got stuff about him.
Yeah, for sure. The only other thing was, and possibly just because before the game you were like, not you, but the collective we a little bit looking at the French front row with Adosio, Colombe, who I still love Georges-Henri Colombe. I think he could be a phenomenal, but he had a pretty horrible season. Like there's no two ways about it, and seemed to be going backwards in scrums and falling out of favour with La Rochelle. And
do you think he just
held up pretty well?
Yeah, maybe. I think either he just plays well against the All Blacks. Because he went all right in the loose, or maybe he had another gastro. Maybe he just needs a gastro.
He was all right in the loose. He was a bit unlucky with a cut. There was one, he nailed one unbelievable jackal, but it was like during a penalty advantage.
Yeah, it got called back, didn't it?
And then he got kind of blown off he thought he nailed one and then got told to release, and looked like he has an amazing way of just looking like the most wronged man ever. He looks so put out when things don't quite go to plan.
I'd say it's more like he's more like the guy that's like done something bad at school and he's got to go home to his parents and he's trying to hold back the tears. Like it's kind of that look.
Yeah.
Like it's an apprehensive there could be tears coming look.
I just hope, and I think it could work out. Like Toulouse aren't known for recruiting mugs, are they? And if there's a side, I think I said it on Twitter to Derek, shout out Derek, if there's a side that can get the most out of the pretty sizable attributes and raw abilities, then you would hope it's them. And he really does have them in spades. But yeah, I was quite impressed, and Doshio as well. Like just at scrum time, it held up. It was more than fine in that first half.
Yeah, I think they did lose. They did concede one early on, which I think might have been Odoshio. But never mind. So one thing that you flagged, and you'll notice I'm wearing a Section Parwaz t-shirt and my Po cap. You flagged you don't like centres on the wing, and we said or I said, well, they've done it before. Galthie, if he likes a player, he'll just get them in the side. So we've had it with Fiku on the wing, we've had it with Moefana on the wing, and obviously both have been brilliant in the centres for France under Fabien Galthie. I would quite like it if Emilien Gaëtan didn't play on the left wing ever again. I think I'm happy to see him fill in at right wing, but when he's like shanking one out on the full, right. But he just looked like a centre playing on the wing, if that makes sense. Like he looked like he was always trying to cut back inside. If he is going to play on the wing, he needs to become more Jack Nowley and just like get in and around the ruck, because he's got brilliant feet. Can wriggle through those sorts of gaps. But it didn't. I think he's on the bench this week. But it felt like they were a bit wasted with Gaëtan and Atisogbe on the wing. It felt like neither of them really. You've got two phenomenal attacking talents there, and neither of them really got into the game. Yeah. But that said, I thought Deporter was one of the more positive to come out of this. He looked like he fits at that level, which when you're playing the All Blacks in New Zealand is a pretty high level. And I think he just, the odd carry was pretty physical. He defended well. Barassi defended well as well. I'm ambivalent about Barassi. I can see the positives, but I don't love it. Do you know what I mean?
I do wonder, because he played when he was he's still not that old now, is he? He's like 26 or something.
Yeah.
But he played when he was very young, and before he got called up to Six Nations, it was a pretty big old gap. It was
3 years
5,
or something, yeah.
Was it 3? I mean, I thought it was a bit longer than that.
Oh, no, yeah, you're right. It was 2020
I
or
do
2021.
wonder, I think maybe his last game might have been in that, or around
Australia.
Something like that. I do wonder if he might just end up the sort of player who ends up on those tours.
Yeah.
Like the sort of Arthur Van Son. Maybe
I wouldn't be surprised to see him. I wouldn't be surprised to see him finish with fewer than 25 caps.
He's been a genuine standout at Toulouse this year, which isn't easy to do. So there's a huge amount of quality, but you wouldn't say he sort of took his appearances in the Six Nations by the scruff of the neck. And this, he wasn't. He by no means to say had a poor game, but. He might get a few more chances. Yoram Moefana, how many caps did it take him before he had the brilliant? Yeah, he had. It does, as I like to say quite often, people don't just like the whole test match animal thing. Like, yes, I get it for some, but it doesn't always work quite that way. Yeah.
Anyone else? Should we go on to next week?
I think so. Yeah, you said James Harrington bib theory is back, and it is, from what I've seen, it is looking kind of like does it look like the strongest side that we would have seen of the three, bar the couple of injuries you mentioned?
Yeah. So the side 1 to 15 would be Adosio, Borgerit, Slimani, Ordu, Halangahu, Fisher, Brennan, Guillard, Legarec, Hastoy, Fiku, Deporter, Atisogbe and Villiers on the wing, Barrett at fullback, and then the bench would be Barlow, Malaise, or Malay, which I think I can see how they got there, because it's Ale with an M on the front. Demba Bamba, Telfa Fanua, and then it looks like Tisserand and Bosheton, Dabanya, Gaëtan.
Okay.
Brennan at 7 is a very French move, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I think the scrum looks good there. Slimani comes in. I don't know where Berrier is. I don't know if he's injured. I'd rather see him than Adosio, perhaps. Although Adosio and Malaise went all right, so fair enough. Borgerit, I think, is the better all-round player as a hooker.
Yeah.
You've got Ordu back in to run the line out, which was pretty shaky for France this week. Guillard comes back. Fisher comes back, who are obviously the two best players. As I mentioned, Hastoy comes in, and I think he brings a bit more in attack, as good as Segons' kicking has been. Villiers comes back in, who was pretty good in the first game. Fiku, Deporter, I think, is their best centre pairing, and possibly is their best centre pairing
going
full
forward.
Stop. Yeah. You've still got Atisogbe in there.
Moefana.
Barrows, yeah, it feels like Moefana and someone, isn't it? Should be, really. But
it'd be Moefana, Deporter, couldn't it, when it comes back?
You'd be happy if they started the Six Nations with Fiku and Deporter. And then Tisserand and Bosheton on the bench, I think, that's quite a nice thing. Van Tondo was pretty anonymous. I thought Legarec hasn't done much. I know he's clearly better than the other two, but he hasn't done loads to kind of merit any praise.
It's been a little bit disappointing, because he is of himself like he can be such a standout, right? Like we've seen him.
I think that's what I was waiting for. Like, I was trying to work out whether it was just the scenario wasn't quite right for him because they were getting destroyed.
Sort of looking for him to be the one dragging others forward. Because I think he is a test quality 9.
He did do that tap and go when they made that break, and I was like, oh, you shouldn't have done that. So his decision making could do with a bit. But yeah, you're looking for him to drag his team through, which I think he is capable of. Maybe this week with Astoy, that'll go better. But I think that is a better team. Whether they will have enough to turn around, I bet New Zealand will rotate this week. I think
I haven't seen a side, but I've seen a couple of quotes that would suggest they're gonna try a few guys. Okay, well, we'll leave that there, and it's the Lions, isn't it, this weekend as well? Test match.
Yeah.
So just
on last weekend, some enjoyable Australia, New Zealand 15, some enjoyable I haven't actually watched the full game, but I have watched the full build up. Ronan O'Gara said it's a lot of players looking for contracts, and then someone else on the sofa was like, isn't it a shopping list, Rog? It's quite good.
Dan Bigger.
Well, I see Marika Corambetti in the top 14. That feels like it's something that's got to happen. I know Laumape is going back to Moana Pacifica. That'd be quite cool. He had a short spell at Stade Francais.
Bigger, I think, is brilliant on comms. Actually, him and Rog have been having a little bit of a. I can't remember the game, but basically anything Bigger said, like Rog would come back and try and like one up him or whatever. And he was saying. So, unfortunately, we've lost comms from Ronan O'Gara because I think he's obviously in the studio in London, and O'Gara's out there.
He's got blooming pre-season. That's why I was thinking that before. Like, who's doing pre-season while Roger's in Australia?
And he's there. And he's like, I hope he's okay, Rog. I hope someone's looking after him. Dan, he's like a Tamagotchi. You've got to keep him on a short leash. You got to keep him fed and watered, otherwise he starts getting a bit weird. It was just always obviously no right of response, so he's absolutely going for him.
Fantastic 90s reference from Dan Bigger as well.
Really good.
While we are on the full internationals, did you see the Portugal result?
They got hammered by Ireland, right? Like 100.
They lost 106-7, which... And that team, I am genuinely stunned by that because, okay, there's not a lot of top 14 quality there, but there's a hell of a lot of Pro D2 quality. A lot of names that we see. So Begic from Mont-de-Marsan, Has Ferreira from Dax, Nicholas Martins, who we love. You've got 2 Bezier halfbacks. You've got Shamal Bento, who I thought was class at Mont-de-Marsan when I saw him. Pinto had a brilliant season at Colomiers. And yeah, okay. Like the Ireland team is young, but I can't believe that result happened, really, especially in Portugal in this heat. But I haven't watched any of the game, but I just think it's absolutely, I can't believe that result's happened. Hugh Gavin at 13, I remember him being unreal in under 20s for Ireland. He's the next big thing. But yeah, I can't get my head around that. Maybe Pro D2 is not as good as we think.
Perhaps.
No, lies. We'll end that there. We'll end that thought there. I did watch the under-20s, and France lost their semi-final to New Zealand. And it is the first time in 5 years that France haven't qualified for the final. And New Zealand were pretty good. You know how we were saying that this France under-20 side is a bit fresher and a lot of them haven't played that much last year, whereas quite a few, I recognised quite a few of the names in the New Zealand side, so a lot of them had been beaten in that semi-final last year against France and have kind of exacted that revenge. It felt like this was a team that hadn't really been tested in this way before. So France, generally, they can just use their physicality and that'll get them out of a lot of holes. And as soon as a team can match them physically, they've not got as much. And I think New Zealand defended brilliantly. France was so wasteful in the New Zealand 22. Their red zone efficiency must have been absolute. I genuinely think it could have been nearly 20 entries for 22. And they just kept cocking it up. And New Zealand were just clinical. They had their chances. They got out to a good early lead. And then when they did get territory, they scored. I guess, yeah, I think with Akrab, who is brilliant off the back of mauls and has scored a load of tries in France under-20s. I know Hook has scored loads of tries these days, but I think a few of them, like perhaps he was just a little bit greedy or impatient. And I guess he'll learn, or like he'll get that banged out of him at senior level. to kind of not be quite so, I don't know if it's selfish or not, but he's kind of going early and then perhaps they kind of get turned over or they get held up or something. Or maybe there's just not enough command from the halfbacks. Haven't been that impressed with the French halfbacks other than Diego Jord, who I think is a good player. I didn't think much of Keletoana from Brive, who I haven't seen the Argentina game. I think he was pretty good in that game, but he did score. There was one lovely pass, but a few nice touches, but I just think he needs a bit more command for a 10. And I don't think I've seen anything from Darroch, who is the lad that got wiped out by Tolu Latu for Toulouse, or Baptiste from Bayonne. I don't think I've seen enough of them. They don't take charge in the same way that you expect a French 9 to, whereas we saw that last year with Carbonneau. He was very much in charge, but I've not seen anything from either of those guys to suggest that.
Will they be eligible next year, or are they in their final year of the under-20s?
Darroch is 20, Thiol is 18, so okay. Thiol has a bit longer, but yeah, I think Darroch has got a long way to go, I think. That's just another shout out for Semeli Down-Avuku in the post-match interview. I just fucking love the French Kiwi hybrid English accent. The guy I like off the bench, Bobby Bissou, is bloody enormous in the back row. Lenny Alafinetti, the reserve tight head, I was really impressed with against Wales, but he's really struggled at scrum time in the last couple of games. So that's one, but he looks like a real specimen. He could be. He's 18. He'll get good. There's just enough raw ingredients there. McGurby, though, the massive unit, who's like 100, he's lost weight to get down to 160 kilos or something ridiculous like that. He's the Toulouse tight head, him and Colombe next year. Jesus. So he's a good player, as is Jean-Christophe, the other on the loose head. Shout out for my main man, Fabien Braubery, scored one lovely try, burst through the middle, absolute class. John Echegaray as well, another name that people will have heard of. He looks more of a player than I perhaps gave him credit for, I think. Maybe it's the kind of because he looks so much younger and smaller at top 14 level. I think at under 20s level, he looks much more physical and he looks much more of a playmaker. So I think there's a chance that he could become like a very, very complete all-round fullback, because we know that he's got unbelievable feet and unbelievable pace because we've seen it in the top 14. He's not error-free, but he looks like he's got a bit of nastiness about him as well, which I quite like. He looked very kind of innocent when he first came on that first game, but I think there's a bit to him. He could be a really good player.
Excellent, lovely roundup, Rob. So that'll be a New Zealand South Africa, I think, semi-final, final. If I'm not mistaken. Yeah,
they will play another game. France, they do play the third, fourth playoff on
against Argentina.
They have like full ranking games. Yeah, that is on Saturday at 5:00.
Okay.
And the final is New Zealand South Africa, 7:30.
Very nice. Just to go back to the full seniors, just to round off the internationals. I know maybe not great news for yourself as a Scotland fan, Fiji beating Scotland down in Suva, but bloody Gita Wainiqolo up to his old tricks yet again. I really there's a couple of very good rugby YouTubers, and someone needs to clip up Wainiqolo just from this season. And I'm not interested because I think there is a clip where he is, every single one of the 412 defenders he probably beaten at a conservative estimate this year. I saw someone on X describe it as him as the biggest piss taker since we barely doubt that. Yeah. Which I thought was pretty spot on, to be honest. He is an absolute phenomenon.
He's still quite young as well.
Yeah, Leon have got a good one for next year.
Leon could, no, they won't because they're Leon, but they could be quite tasty next year.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's to look forward to.
Shall we? I think we're straight into Petit Fours. Just a moment, Bob.
Yes.
Rob, we might be kind of off-season, coming towards the end of the season, but a few Petit Fours, Digestifs, quite a lot going on away from the rugby pitch. What's caught your attention this week?
Well, not away from the pitch. Did you see the pitch rankings
I did.
From the LNR, from the top 14? I now can't find them, but I've never seen that before in professional sport. Have you?
No, I haven't, but if I'm not mistaken, Cass on top.
Possibly.
I'm pretty certain.
I can see the Pro D2 ones. Sax V were bottom on the synthetics, although Nice were 48, which is pretty bad. That feels like a bad score.
Surely Montpellier were right at the bottom.
Mate, so this is my thing. Montpellier somehow weren't bottom of the top 14 ones, which is absolutely incredible, given that... Have they got away with it because they had to move games? Have they somehow, like... Because some of it was shambolic.
It was, yeah. I mean, it was visibly appalling, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's purely the pitch, right?
I think it is purely the pitch. Yeah, because it's terrain naturel or naturel renforcé.
Wow.
So Montpellier were above Toulon. Montpellier got 63 for their natural pitch and Toulon got 56, which is...
Maybe they showed them another ground.
I can't believe that.
Or no one was there to open the gates when the original inspector came round.
Also, Racing got a really high score for their terrain synthétique. I always think it looks a bit weird on TV. It looks like there's too much crumb. It looks like it's like been laid down like a black carpet almost. I don't know. It looks the carpet
really
lines look very. Always looks a bit funny, I think, on TV.
Okay.
But I did see there was something on the Montpellier Instagram account, and it was something like it was a video about how the GGL is not. It was a short reel about how the GGL or the Stade Yves du Manoir, which is the same as the one in Racing or the old one in Racing, is not fit for purpose of an elite club. And there was footage of it was like the beginning of like Gordon Ramsay's kitchen nightmares or something. Like it was kind of like footage of like leaks, like cracks in the wall and like broken shower heads and rotting skirting boards and stuff. But I don't think I've seen anything else since.
But
so I don't
they're
know
saying
what's
their own stadium isn't fit for purpose, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what it's like. It was a good few years ago we went, but I thought it was, at least from a watching perspective, was absolutely fine.
Yeah.
It's not like crumbling at the seams within the stuff.
I don't know if you can see this. A little reel of...
How bizarre.
And then they start seeing like chipped paint and broken glass. And
I mean, that's...
It does look crap, to be fair. Like when you see I'm sure there's other stadiums that are... But
we're talking an electrician and a couple of licks of paint, not like the foundations falling through.
But although the pitch was an absolute shambles. So I don't know what's happening there. I don't know whether they're going to knock the whole thing down, move stadiums or what.
That feels...
Just when you think Montpellier getting their act together, something random, something bizarre will happen.
They'll do the old, how many times has an amateur, like a village pub or a local amateur sports clubhouse burnt down and everyone's like, oh, it's an insurance job. Like that is dodgy, a bit dodgy, isn't it? Maybe
didn't you say the Montpellier FC did have 2 genuine fires? Weren't they looking at moving to Montpellier FC rather than Béziers? And you said that there was like a genuine fire in one of the stands or like they got banned from the competition or something?
No, it was, I think that was to do, there were, yes, one of the football ground, I think, but it might have been last season, someone started, was it the Montpellier fans or the away team at Montpellier were protesting or their team were losing, so they started a fire in the stand to try and get the game called off, which unsurprisingly worked. So there's a couple of local lads who can help them out with that if need be. But I'm quite taken aback by that. If it just all seems. Are
you
a bit
more
strange.
Shocked by that or the fact they weren't bottom of the pitch rankings?
I'm equally as shocked. Rob.
Do you want some more rankings? Because it's one of my favourite topics.
Go on.
JIFF rankings.
Mm.
Who was top of the JIFF rankings? Who had the most JIFs?
Well, I think it wasn't last year. Was it Racing and Toulouse? So I'm just going to assume it is quite similar.
Toulouse 19.7. I think they get a load of bonuses because they provide you get bonuses for players playing in the national side, and so they're getting like +9 every week.
Yeah,
because they've contributed to the national side in any of the doublons. So do you know who was second though?
Po?
It was Po. Yeah. They were the only other team over averaging 19 GIFs per game, 19.15.
Good going.
So Van are on 14.12, but that's because you're allowed, in your first year, you're allowed to drop down to 14. I think had they stayed up, they would now have to be averaging 15 this season, and then you go to 16 in your third season. Who was bottom?
Van weren't bottom.
Well, Van were bottom, but who was the nearest to
above that?
dropping below 16?
Who's got a lot of... I'm guessing it's quite tight. Montpellier?
Montpellier second bottom, 16.46. Toulon, 16.32.
Okay.
I would have thought Montpellier generally quite close to being quite tight. Pro D2 also have GIF stats. There was one team bang on 16. Do you know who that was? Surprised me, actually.
Maybe someone like Dax.
Bezier. A lot of Portuguese players. They generally kind of sneak them in as GIFs.
Okay.
Nice, who didn't need to be at 16, was 16.03, so good effort to them. The top was... Who do you think was top?
What, most GIFs?
Yeah.
Or fewer?
You've just said them, to be fair.
Dax.
Dax were top. Second was the United Nations of Aurillac. Somehow
excellent.
second in the GIF rankings, despite having about 50 different nationalities per match day 23.
What a club.
And Saxby going all right. So that's good to know. The youngsters,
You mentioned...
my two boys my two sides bringing in the French youngsters. Good to see Poe and Soyongolem.
You mentioned Aurillac there. Did you see Aurillac was on BBC
I've seen
News,
this in the notes,
Guardian.
but I have not seen. I've not seen the story.
There was a freak bee attack in the town of Aurillac, which left 3 people in hospital.
What?
25 people attacked by bees.
Blimey.
Yeah, the mayor posited that it might have been because of a reaction to Asian hornets, but that has been dispelled by what's his official title? Christian Carrier, the president of the Regional Beekeepers Union, was sceptical of that, saying he felt it may have been more due to, I think like the heat wave, lack of food, water, all those things. But 24 people, 3 people were in a critical condition, which is obviously pretty horrible. But I think it said they'd all made decent progress. But Aurillac making BBC News, Guardian, and in the Metro.
Wow. So I think there has been a lot of wasps around. I think it's something to do with the winters not being as cold. Okay. And I feel like
there have been a lot of wasps around. I've noticed that.
Aurillac did have one game frozen off, but I feel like there weren't quite as many tough Friday nights in Aurillac this winter.
Cantal winters.
That could be an explanation for the amount of bees knocking around.
Very nice. The other thing at sort of the other end of the glamour spectrum, Mathieu Jalibert, I think it's got to his head, his inclusion in the Rosbif top 14 team of the season. He was footage of him on a private jet, it looked like, with Louis Bielbiere. And then whether I don't know if he's hired it, don't know if he's on holiday, don't know if he's treated himself, but he's been behind the wheel of a Lamborghini as well. So, he deserves it. What a player. And I'm sure he was delighted with his inclusion in the team of the year.
Well, and good of him to celebrate Louis Bielbiere getting inside as well. So
that's very true.
Yeah, very good of him, that.
One thing I was going to say, but you might be covering it. I've seen your little note here around pre-season. Talk me through your angle here, because they are coming back. But
I haven't said anything about pre-season.
Oh, that might be something I put in from a few days ago. There are some excellent pre-season fixtures for anybody who's maybe summer holidaying in France. Pick of the ones I've seen thus far. So I think we mentioned Biarritz Munster a little while ago.
I think that might have been cancelled. Someone told me last week that it had been cancelled. Weirdly enough, when I was playing cricket last week, someone who spent some time in Biarritz.
All right, we'll scratch that.
Shout out, Will, if you're listening.
That's frustrating, because that was fantastic.
But I haven't seen an announcement. But I can tell you that if you are in the Basque Country on the 21st of August, you might want to get yourself to Stade Jean Daugé for the Basque Derby, which Will, the guy I was speaking to last week, went to last year, unwittingly knowing that it was the ultimate rivalry in French rugby. But he went to the Aguilera last year, so that will be a cracker.
Yeah, love that.
Right on that Joma kit, it looks bloody fantastic, doesn't it?
Yeah, the Biarritz Joma kit is really nice touch.
The town emblem.
Yeah, but in terms of a couple of the other really exciting pre-season ones at the end of August, Soyongolem at the Stade Chanzy against UBB.
Nice.
Which is very cool. Castres going to Mazamet to host Harlequins.
Which I think is what's his face started his career. Thomas Ramos,
Yeah.
Started his career.
And up in Brittany, Van are hosting Toulouse at, pronunciation might need a work here, Guingamp, which is right up in the north of Brittany, not a million miles away from sort of the ferry ports, as far as I'm aware. down towards like Sam Mallow and stuff like that. So yeah, could be pretty cool up there. And I think actually the ground, it's a second division football stadium, probably holds more than
the Rabin.
Oh God, the Rabin. Yeah, so some really cool stuff, and we'll list them out at some point because why not?
Well, send me what you've got, Richard, and I'll get something mocked up for pre-season games. But on that, obviously the fixtures have all come out for top 14 Pro D2 and Champions Cup and Challenge Cup. The Rosbif supercomputer is whirring away, and we will. I'm committing us to this, Richard. We are going to do for every weekend of the season. We are going to do a Rosbif pick. So that will I have to churn through the Rosbif supercomputer. But yeah, we will come out with that and hopefully give you guys some tips for next season or good weekends. Because I think the tricky thing, we should probably do a bit on it next week. Maybe we'll chat fixtures next week because we've only got one game to cover next week, and then we'll before our big end of season review, so we'll help you get planning on that. But talking of fixtures, well, first of all, I did see Iltud said nice way for Bordeaux to start their title defence. They go away to the Bulls in the first round of the Champions Cup, which feel like you should get a home game, shouldn't you? Anyway, if you are trying to get tickets, there are some grounds that will be very hard to get because they will sell out. Can you guess, Richard, according to the stats that were posted yesterday, which 6 top 14 teams were 100% guichet ferme sellouts? 100% sellouts. 6 top 14 teams.
Okay. Bayonne.
Yeah.
Well, there's usually a few seats knocking around, but Bordeaux, I'm pretty sure, were pretty much there, weren't they?
Yeah, I think that bit's closed off, though. Van, yeah.
La Rochelle.
Yeah.
Ooh, Toulouse.
Yeah.
And I want to work backwards. Wouldn't be the Paris clubs, wouldn't be Montpellier or Lyon or Castres. I would suggest probably not Po either. It would be Perpignan.
Correct.
Yes.
Very well done. I'm surprised Castres aren't on there. There is one team in Pro D2 that was guichet ferme 100%.
Ooh.
Which is I'm surprised it's that low, that there's only one. I'm surprised there's not like a few more.
Was it... Brive's a big stadium, so I reckon they had a couple in winter that maybe weren't. Provence?
Correct!
Yeah.
I think that's the best you've ever done on a little mini quiz, Richard. That was outstanding. Yeah, I think when we went to Brive, it wasn't a full sellout the first time we went to Brive, so...
No, and they opened that new stand, haven't they? So capacity's actually pretty tasty there.
They had the biggest average spectators, 11,513 in Brive.
Okay. And it holds 14,000 now, so actually...
And of course, the biggest in the top 14 was Bordeaux Begler, 32,864, which is presumably the capacity, given they were guichet ferme. Yeah. Although that might actually include the, Matmut. Average attendance in the top 14, 16,115. Average attendance in Pro D2, 5,959. Not bad going.
Very good. Lovely stuff. Does that round us out, Rob?
Got a few transfers.
Go on.
Basically, I met someone on Sunday night, a friend of someone we know from university, Richard, and I've got some inside line on a Provence signing. Apparently, Matty, they are trying to get Matty Ray from Ulster, who is interested. His girlfriend is interested, but it hasn't been confirmed yet.
No.
So a little bit of inside line. Montpellier seem to be announcing more and more signings, more non-GIFs as well. Tom Banks, who I think's crap, the Australian fullback. Ricky Riccatelli, who is quite good. Donovan Taufifner from Racing. And Leon announced I didn't realise he was on loan, but Artem Matiron from Nevers. And given the impact that Christian Ambadiang had when he moved from Nevers to Castres, Matiron was having similar impacts at Nevers. So look out for him on a wing opposite Jutta Wainiqolo. Imagine that back three: Wainiqolo, Artem Matiron, Gaban Law. Oh,
yeah,
one for the real French rugby nerds, that. And fans of Fijian flair.
Absolutely. Right, is next week going to be our last one for a couple of weeks, the season finale?
No, we've got one next week, and then we're doing the Golden Buffs.
The Golden Buffs.
Or get your suggestions in for names for what we can call the Rosbif end of season awards. Golden Buffs is the current front runner.
Yeah. Absolutely. Otherwise, you can follow us on all the usual spots at Rosbif Rugby. Email us, as a few of you have been recently, rosbifrugby@gmail.com. Very happy to hear your tales of trips. Any advice we can... Rob, I think, has just died. by the sounds of things on the other end of the microphone there. But yeah, I'll have to find another co-host for next week. But yeah, otherwise, anything else to report? Or I think we're
download,
done.
Share, subscribe, tell your mates.
Comment, but only if it's nice.
Yeah.
Still on the hunt for Louis Carbonell after his review 18 months ago. But in the meantime, I've been Richard. That has been Rob. We've been at the Rosbif Rugby Podcast. Au revoir.
Au revoir.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Life is a workout, and Smoothie King is here to help you power through. Whether you're crushing morning miles or sprinting through back-to-back meetings, give your body the energy, protein, and power it needs to help you conquer your goals. Only at Smoothie King.